Hello. Before we get started in this, I just want to say I'm not a cook, I'm not a chef. I by no means class myself as any of those things. I am just a dad who has found a sneaky way of getting good, healthy ingredients into food that my daughters won't notice when they're eating it. So my daughters are 2 and 3. Well, 3 and 4 nearly, actually. So what I make on a week, I make this once a week, is it's basically a pizza. But I use, as you can see here, sweet potatoes go into it, bell pepper, a red bell pepper or yellow, spinach, tomatoes. So all good ingredients, all healthy foods. One of them is a superfood, that'd be spinach. And it all goes into the making of the pizza. So I'm going to go through it as I can very quickly. So here I have peeled the sweet potatoes. So take the peelings. Don't throw the peelings away. As you can see, they're on the side there. Keep the peel. I'll tell you what I'll do with the peel. That goes into an air fryer. And I will drizzle on some oil. Sprinkle on a bit of salt. Pop that in the air fryer. And I'll just keep an eye on that every... I think it goes in for 2 minutes, if that. But then just keep checking it, maybe 3 minutes, but keep checking it. So you want it to be nice and crispy. It's what you're looking for. And that's not for the pizza. That's basically for you to snack on whilst you're making food. Yeah, you can put oil on it, you can put salt on it, pepper on it, whatever you want. And this is the outcome of it. Yeah, nice and crispy and crunchy. Yeah, that's got nothing to do with the pizza base. It's just a nice little crunchy snack if you're hungry. And it saves throwing away the... I don't like waste, so it says throwing that away as well afterwards. You get to keep it and eat it. You should be able to hear it crunch if I've got the volume up. No, I think I'll turn the volume down. Anyway, back to this. So the potato is as if you're making a mashed potato. You chop it up, throw it into some boiling water, checking it with a knife until it's soft. As soon as the potatoes are soft, drain all the water out. Once I've drained the water out, take it back over. You can let it cool down. You don't want to let it cool down too much. I like it, so when I'm adding the flour, which I'll explain in a minute, when I'm adding the flour, I like to add it to slightly warm. It just seems to make it easier to mix. But yeah, drain all the water out, put the potatoes back into the pan. From there, you want to find yourself a bowl. You can actually do it in the pan. You can just put the flour straight into the pan. The reason I take it out of the pan is because of the pan's hot, so it's going to keep the potatoes quite hot. But you want to mash it up first. Sorry, I've skipped that bit. So mash it up first. Once you've mashed it, then place it into a bowl. As you can see here. So the bowl is a cold bowl, which will in turn cool down the mashed potato quicker. My explaining of this isn't the best because I'm just trying to watch it and explain it at the same time. I couldn't do this whilst I was cooking it because my 2 little girls were running around and it was far too noisy. So, once that's in, I've mashed that up. Get some self-raising flour. I don't do measurements. So there's no measurements on here because, like I said, I'm not a cook, I'm not a chef. I'm just an old dad who is learning as he goes along. So I just poured a load in to cover the potato with a bit of a heap on top. The potato. There you go. And then just started mixing that around. I've been making this recipe for a while, so I kind of know what I'm doing by now. If you want to try and measure it out, you can. It's all trial and error. You want to try and make it into a dough, but before you do that, you make it into kind of like... So you mix the flour in first and get it all mixed up into like an orange paste. Because you're going to add the spinach to that. But before you add the spinach, you need to get a good amount of spinach because spinach shrinks down to nothing. So get the spinach out and get a knife and you're going to chop that down like as fine as you can. You don't want to go too fine, but fine enough, because it will still, like I said, it will shrink anyway. Trying to bunch it up as much as I can to make it easier to cut. There we go. Chop, 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 chop. Scoop all of that lot up and throw it in the bowl. Right, mix that up again. When you get all that mixed up, don't add any more flour yet, just keep mixing that up. It's getting quite hard to mix now, which means it's almost ready. You kind of want it into a... I'm trying to how to explain it. So I don't go into like a dough, because a dough would be too hard. So I make it into kind of like a sticky-ish dough. Especially when you're using sweet potatoes, because they're very wet. You could just keep adding more and more flour, and it will just keep absorbing more and more and more. And then the dough would be too hard, I think, after when you've cooked it. So I think that's enough flour at this point. So all I've done is just turn it over. If it's not enough flour, then you can just keep adding it. But it's easier to mix and knead on a surface rather than in that bowl. Scrape out as much as you possibly can. And then the kneading begins. It's where you want to kind of turn it into an easy to handle ball of dough. Like I said, I'm not really a chef, so my explaining of this isn't the best. All I do here is basically just push it forward, fold it back, knead it through with the heel of your hand, fold it back over. Push it through, fold it back over. And if you need to add more flour, I add more flour. As you can see, a little bit there. I know it's speeded up, but I was just adding a little bit of flour every now and then. There you go, like that. Easy to handle. It's not sticking to my hands too much. It is a little bit, but not a lot. And that's that. Now, you can just leave it to rest there, but what I like to do is cut it into the sizes I want first. So just roll it out into like a sausage shape or cylindrical shape. Cut a bit off. That's about the size of my, a bit smaller than my fist. 2 of those. That's like 1 mini pizza each for my girls. And then the bit left in the middle is for me. Now that will now sit there for minimum 45 minutes. I say minimum of half an hour because that's all I left it for today. The longer you leave it, the better it is, I think. You could even, if you wanted to, prep it the night before, but then cover it. So put it in the fridge, but cover it with something. I think that's what you do. You could like wrap it in cling film and then put it in the fridge, and then you can use it the next day. But this way, or you can just leave it an hour and then go back to it. When you're shaping the pizzas, shape around the outside, so don't try and push too much in the middle, because that'll make the middle bit really, really fragile and you pop through it. So just push from the middle outwards all the way around. A dry hot pan, straight in. Move it around, because otherwise it will stick. I think that's why I move it around. I'm just scared of it always sticking, so I kind of just drop it in and move the pan around, and it stops it from sticking. And then, obviously, whilst that one's... All I'm doing to this is I'm not cooking the whole thing. I'm just trying to get the base cooked. Because if you cook a pizza, it literally takes minutes in an oven, because you put it in a high oven, melts the cheese, cooks the top a little bit. So the bottom, I like to have like a bit of a hard coating on it first. I think if you can see here, it's just started to brown off on the bottom. So that is about enough. So then I'll flip it over Give the top a bit of a heat up for like a minute or two. Still moving it around. And then that's that done. Repeat with the other one if you're doing more than one. At the moment, you can see the spinach. You can see it's. Kids probably wouldn't still eat it if they saw it like that. But then you add this. So it's a passata. It is literally just tomatoes that have been crushed or grated or whatever you want to call it. You can also use, I've used like a gazpacho soup before. Thickened it slightly, use that. Chop up a bell pepper. I suppose you can throw anything into the sauce as long as you chop it up fine enough that they don't notice it's in there. I just like to use bell peppers because they're really good for you. So chop that up, throw that into the passata as well. Depending on your taste and what it is you like or don't like, you can add your condiments here. So you can add salt, pepper, garlic, you can add spice, pretty much anything else you want, if you want to. I think I'm adding the smallest amount of garlic, and I think I've had a pinch of salt just because it's tomatoes. Yeah, pinch of salt, like the smallest amount. Stir that up, and then that's the sauce done. Right, the sauce then gets added to the pizzas. There's a load of grated cheese there. Throw the cheese on top. So these two are going to be cooked in an air fryer. So you'll see I'm tapping down the cheese. You'll know this about air fryers. Obviously, it's air circulating. So if you pat the cheese down, it stops the cheese from flying off when you put it in the air fryer. Literally just pat it down gently on top, and then it stops everything from flying off the top and making a right mess. And that's it. You then throw it in the air fryer. How long did I put that in for? I'd like to say 6, maybe 7 minutes I think I put it in for. That's my guess. I don't have a temperature setting on that air fryer there. You just put it in, put the timer on, and that's how it turns out. They don't have a hard crust around the outside of them, which is nice. There we go. There's the girls' plates. Plate it up. Let it cool down. Just to prove they do eat it. And it's not just me saying that they will. Look at that. Happy days. And then the big ball at the end of it is mine. This is always the fun one to make because I get to throw anything I want in the sauce. Excuse me. I also get to play around a little bit. Whee! Look at that. Almost a professional. So the dish I'm using on the hob is a paella dish because it's the only thing big enough I can find to fit a decent size. Rather than making 2 small ones, I'd rather have 1 big one. Flip. It's the same sort of thing. Make the bottom nice and brown. Yeah, I added loads of stuff to this. We've got garlic salt going in there. It's called a dynamite hot sauce. Black pepper went in it as well. That obviously won't fit in my air fryer. So that goes in the oven. I think just put the oven on something like 180. 180 degrees. and then it goes in for, I think I have it in for about, let's say 10 minutes, but I don't want to give times in case it's wrong, so just keep checking it. If enough people watch this and enough people like it, then I'll try and work out times and everything. But as you can see, just pop it in the oven, top shelf. Excuse me. Yeah, it's lovely. And there's my dinner. Right, I thought I'd share that. If you want a sneaky way of putting good food into your kids' meals, there you go. There's a cheeky, easy way of doing it. Thanks for watching.